Next question. Do you believe that the Beach Talk Radio listeners are dredges? Are they?
No.
No.
No. Yes or no? I can't say some, huh? No.
This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Live from Peach Time Out in the heart of Times Square. You're listening to Beach Talk Radio with Kim and Ed Ryan.
And a good morning, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. This is episode number 237. My name is Ed Ryan. Kim is off today. She is in Austin, Texas for a wedding. So it's a solo act today, and I've been warned to be on my best behavior. So I will be on my best behavior for the most part. Later on in the show, Steve is back from Michigan or St. Louis or Buffalo or Ohio, wherever he is in cold world country. And we're going to talk about the debate, and we're going to talk about the council meeting where your millage rate got raised. You know, Steve's always got an interesting perspective, so he thinks. So that's coming up later on in the show. But before we get rolling and our first guest, we always like to thank our local sponsors, because without our local sponsors, Kim would be bald. And there's no doubt about that. John King for Town Council is the sponsor this month. The Whale Restaurant, Royal Scoop Ice Cream, the official ice cream of Beach Talk Radio. Sun Palace Vacations, Fort Myers Beach Realty, Fort Myers Tiki Tours, Nervous Nellies, Margarita, State Insurance USA, La Ola Restaurant, Coastal Vacation Properties, Tuckaway Cafe, Beach Pottery, Shuckers, the Farmers Market at Beach Baptist, Island Carts FMB, and of course, Beach Time Out. We also would like to thank all of you that donated throughout the week from our newsletter. When the newsletter goes out, you donate $5 or $10 or $15 by donating what call it like a cup of coffee. We made a little gimmick out of it, and we appreciate all you folks that do that during the week. It really means a lot to both of us. And what I did want to mention before we got started this morning was I did not ask that question that you heard at the beginning of the show. I did not send in any questions. I certainly didn't send in the Dreg question, and I was mortified when the question came up. I'm being totally honest with you. Like I was hiding under the table when I heard Dave Elias. Is that how you say his name, Steve? Dave Elias or Elias from NBC asked the question. And you know what else happened? Because we came down in two vehicles, Kim left. She had just left the church because she was triple mortified. But once they asked the question, I was very interested in the answer. And of course, you know, the mayor is never one to disappoint when it comes to the show. So he gave us a great soundbite to play as we started off the show. But I didn't ask that question at all. And she yelled at me when I got home because she thought I asked the question. I didn't send in any questions because that's not my place. This is my place. When we go out to events like that, when we go to a debate like that, I'm on my total best behavior. I'm totally professional. I don't do what other people do. I don't get in anyone's face and be unprofessional, try to get my point across. I am totally professional, and it wasn't my event to do something like that. And so I just want that to be clear that I didn't ask that question. But I was definitely interested in seeing what the answer was. We did get, come on down, Chris. We did get 3 free plugs during the debate. So thank you all for mentioning us. Our little project is now 4 years old. Welcome to the show, everybody. Chris Crowley. Chris?
Good morning. It's great to be here.
What's going on with your nose there? What happened?
A little bout of skin cancer, but I'm okay.
Yeah? Where'd you get that? Here in Florida? Or
probably years ago. Yeah.
But, years ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
What did they do? They removed it and then
yes. And now I have a fun Band-Aid on. Yes. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, people down here will probably have no idea who you are. But just for a little background, the first time that we kind of met in person was weird because it was as a result of a podcast. We both listened to No Agenda, which is a podcast hosted by Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak, and we just happened to run into each other. So they do these meetups.
Yes.
And everybody that's a fan of the show will just
worldwide.
Yeah. They'll just meet, and
it's a great show, great podcast.
Yeah. Somebody organized one in Naples. I can't remember the guy's name. I think it's Dave something.
Sir something.
Yeah. And
if you give $1,000, you get knighted.
Yeah.
It's a.
We don't do that here.
Okay.
We get $5. And we met in Naples and we were chatting down there. But you live in Cape Coral?
Actually, I don't speak for the Army right now. That's my disclaimer. But I'm active duty with the United States Army.
Oh.
I'm between tours. I just came from the 82nd Airborne at Fort Bragg 2 days ago. I'm on what they call Terminal N leave, and then I'm planning on shipping out to Guantanamo Bay.
Wow.
Yeah, probably go to Fort Bliss first. I'm just waiting for the orders.
So what will you do at Guantanamo Bay? Will you
I can't tell you.
Interrogate some of the prisoners?
I'm a lieutenant colonel in the JAG Corps.
Oh.
But I do not speak for the Army.
Are you so that makes you a lawyer?
Yes.
I got you.
Yes. I was a practicing attorney, former prosecutor here. I did many call-ups in the past. The Army said they needed me. So I did a year and a half at Fort Bragg, and now I'm going to probably do a year or so at Guantanamo Bay.
A couple quick questions.
Sure.
How many prisoners are left in Guantanamo Bay?
I only know what's in the newspapers.
Yeah.
I think about 30.
30 left.
And they have these tribunals.
Oh, they do? Down there?
Yes.
I didn't. Where would you read it? Where did you read about a tribunal?
New York Times.
Oh, okay.
They have a separate tribunal for these war criminals.
I see.
I think it was also in the Washington Times.
Yeah.
They had like 200 or more, and now they're down to roughly 30. It's still lagging. It involves a lot of top secret issues. I might be working more with the military police. I'm tentatively scheduled to deploy with the military police 100 guys.
So being that there are only 30 left, is it a good assumption on my part or anyone's part that they're probably the baddest guys of all?
I would think so,
Why don't we just kill them all?
They get due process.
They're not in America. They're in Cuba.
I don't find have a trial with the tribunal and then execute them.
But the people, never mind.
That's fine.
Yeah.
All right. These are some of the worst of the worst.
Yeah. So is that where what's his name is that they were hanging upside down by his feet?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I'll be working more with the security side.
So the second question I have for you is, how do we own like a piece of Cuba? Like, what's the history behind how we have Guantanamo Bay, Cuba?
We got a lease with the old Cuban government. I think we just kept it.
Yeah, how do you keep it with the communist governments? Do they keep?
I think we kept it and dared them to take it, and they never took it.
See.
They might have tried. I don't know. Yeah. I think it goes back 100 years.
Yeah.
Okay, there's always tension there. I'm not allowed to go into the main country. I have to stay on Guantanamo Bay.
How far is it from Guantanamo Bay to the mainland Cuba?
It's part of Cuba.
It's part of it. There's no water breaking it up.
I believe there's a minefield and several
That's not
fences.
a minefield, you liar.
I don't know. And there's what is there's a whole bunch of Marines who guard the post. I mean,
oh really?
Yeah.
So they'll shoot you if you try to go to Cuba to get some new cigars.
Hopefully not. So that ain't an excuse to shoot an officer.
With that thing on your nose, you might scare the shit out of them.
That's right. Yes.
So Chris, you're kind of involved in local politics, right?
Somewhat.
Now let me give people the background of why you're here.
Okay.
We had Brendan Leslie on a few weeks ago. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. So he pretty much skewered you. I mean, he totally tortured your ass out of the blue for some reason. And so I called. I mean, we tried to get in touch with each other right away. Like I wasn't gonna just let. I don't like that. When you don't have a chance to kind of stand up for yourself.
It's okay. And thanks for having me.
So what's the background between you and Brendan Leslie? Like, why do you guys?
We have some disagreements. He favors one candidate for school board. I favor another. I've been very involved in Lee County politics in the past. I was actually a delegate to the convention, the Republican convention. I'm the former Republican state committeeman. And we had a big disagreement on the current school board race. I support Miss Nystrom, Denise Nystrom. And I also have been very outspoken on corruption in Lee County. There's actually a new book out on Amazon called Murder and Corruption in Florida. Everyone go buy it. I didn't write it, but
I started to read it.
Okay.
I don't think I can believe some of it seems crazy.
I read it, and I would have to say, to my knowledge, most of it is true. It's called Murder and Corruption in Florida. It's on Amazon.com. You can get it via Kindle. And
what's the murder part? I didn't see the murder
Sandy
part.
Modell wrote it. His son was murdered down in Estero. Carmine Marcino and his staff, all of it, Lee County Sheriff, thinks it's a homicide. for some reason, the state attorney won't prosecute it.
I see.
And Sandy Modell goes into it much better than me. The book's only 100 pages. I think it's an $11 Kindle book on Amazon. It's called Murder and Corruption in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's been a lot of corruption issues in Lee County.
At the Lee County board level?
At the school board in particular, Wink did a big story about.
You know, we had Alfie Oakes on our show last night, and he said the same thing about the corruption. But when we have Chris Patrica on, she says that the school board has been totally investigated and there's been no corruption.
Isn't she under investigation? That's what I read in the newspapers.
I don't know. Well, okay. I guess when she comes on next week, I'll ask her that.
I believe she's under investigation.
Isn't everybody that's a political candidate under investigation in some way?
I disagree with Miss Patrica on most issues, and I think she's a symbol of what's wrong with the school board. She's a nice lady. I met her husband. Yeah. I'm from Boston. Her husband, I think, is from New Hampshire. We're both Red Sox fans. Oh. But
sorry for you on that.
On issues.
Did you see the game last night?
No. But
the Yankees crushed them.
Okay. Hey, no swearing while we're on the radio.
There's 17 games out of first place.
There you go. Using profanity, the Y word, in front of a Red Sox fan. Okay. I have a baseball signed by Ted Williams. I do. It's in a safe.
The guy they put in that cryogenics box?
Yes.
He's still alive, isn't he? Like
I don't
Sasquatch.
know. Maybe they'll revive him. He'll go back. He'll help the Red Sox out. But I do think Wink News did a big story about corruption on the Lee County School Board. And I'm a big supporter of Denise Nystrom because I think that she would be better. She has the experience. She's also an intense conservative, an intellectual conservative. And also her opponent won't debate her.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. They were supposed to have a debate next week, and her opponent won't show.
Why?
You'd have to ask Miss.
We actually have invited her on the show several times, but she won't respond.
You should have Denise.
Now, I'm going to give you a little history. I voted for Jada in the primary, and I'm definitely voting for Denise in the election.
Okay,
and I hope everybody on the beach votes for Denise in the election.
I think she's the best. You know, no offense to Jada, but I think Miss Nystrom is just a better candidate.
I think there should be at least one debate between the candidates, and Denise has been somebody that's always been responsive. She always will have a conversation with you about the issues, and it seems like her experience is definitely worth looking into if you're a voter. And by the way, the folks on Fort Myers Beach, that's an at-large seat, so you all get to vote on Fort Myers Beach for that position. You'll be picking between Denise and Jada in November. So keep that in mind.
Alfie Oakes and I, and now you, support Denise Nystrom. Yeah. And one thing is, too, ideologically, she's very conservative.
Total conservative.
Yeah. But she also has the experience as well. I believe she was in charge of a school board or a school system up in New York.
Yeah.
Okay. But she's lived down here for many years.
Yeah. Now, the question I had for you was, without Kim here, and when I lose my train of thought.
Your wife. Is your wife not?
Yeah, she's at a wedding with her boyfriend. She took her boyfriend to the wedding and not me in Austin. It's very awkward sometimes. Yes. But so the corruption part of it, what is the corruption accusation at the school board level? It's a $2 billion. I mean, with a $2 billion budget, you got to give them some slack. There should be a little bit of corruption.
Wink knew. No, there should. All right. It's your money. It's my money.
I'm joking.
I pay property taxes. They go to the school. It's like a $2 billion budget. And they were doing contracts to politically connected for locksmiths. That's what Wink talked about. But I think it goes beyond that.
Wait. Why do you need locksmiths?
Well, there's tons of locks in the school.
I see.
You're supposed to have, I believe what Wink said is you're supposed to have 7 years experience. They hired someone only had 3. It was supposed to be a $3 million contract. I believe it was about 8. It's not just that. It's CRT. It's mask mandates. It's pushing vaccines on kids, which kids really don't need.
Okay, that's a bigger, gigantic issue. But let's go back to the locksmith thing. Was it investigated?
I don't know. I know that.
Well, how can you make the accusation without knowing?
Wink, watch the story on Wink. You can find it online.
Is there a recent one?
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. It was all over Facebook. It was all over social media. But Wink did an investigative report, and even a couple of the school board members were against some of these contracts.
Who's awarding the contracts? The school board?
The school board or the superintendent or someone in charge of contracting.
If the school board is awarding the contracts, how could they be against it?
I wouldn't vote for. I would probably not vote to reelect most of the members of the school board.
I see.
I like Melissa Giovanelli. She's a good person. She's fairly conservative. I think Denise Nystrom should be there, but I would like to see most of them just politely retire. I think we need new blood on our school board.
Well, let's talk about Charlie's going to come on after you, but a big issue.
With him,
a big issue coming up is the referendum on whether or not the voters should pick in the election a school superintendent, which is bizarre. Like, we need more elected politicians and not less. I think we need less, but Jenna Parsons and group apparently thinks we need more. So people need to know that when they go to the polls, that referendum is written confusing purposely. They want to confuse you so that you vote the wrong way. Obviously, the vote is no. You don't want to elect another person at the school board level. Am I right or wrong?
I'm kind of agnostic on that issue, but the problem is there's so much.
Chris, you're not agnostic on any issue.
Hold on. The school board has a lot of corruption, and there's been a lot of problems at the school board. And they pushed a tax increase I didn't think we needed. They got tons of money. They're not spending it well. They're saying they're violating open meeting laws by calling it workshop meetings. The school board has a lot of corruption issues. Not Ms. Giovanelli, but I can't defend the rest of the members. I can't, and I'm glad to see that some of them are retiring, and I hope that Denise gets on board. Denise Nystrom.
You're filibustering. Get to the point about this elected.
The school board. If people want to elect it, fine.
Then you have a school superintendent that's always running for election
every 4 years. If the people elect it, but there's a good members of the school board, then we have nothing to worry about. I mean, you can elect a school board member or not elect a school board member, but if you have incredibly liberal tax and spend members of the school board, many who are liberal Democrats, admittedly.
Okay, let me ask you this then. What is the difference between the voters electing the school board member that you say is not doing a good job and the same exact voters electing a school superintendent? I mean, what's the guarantee that you're going to get a better person over and what's the relationship? Who's running who at that point?
What I hope is now that people are paying attention, that we'll elect better people to the school board. That's my hope. Okay. There's other candidates. There's that former fighter pilot who's running. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. He's not in my district. He's in the Cape. Dan Severson. Okay. He's a good guy. I've met him. I met his wife. I hope he gets on the school board. I hope Denise gets on the school board. I hope her opponent will debate her. I think if we can elect better school board members, then we won't have to worry about the superintendent, whether he's elected or not. I'm tilting in favor for electing the school board superintendent.
Chris, come on.
But I don't feel strongly about it. I feel more strongly about Denise.
It seems like
more strongly about that book, Murder and Corruption in Florida by Sandy Modell. That's about a murder case.
Fiction, though. It's a
not
novel.
a fiction. You should call up Sandy, have him on your show. I think he lives in Orlando.
That's a good idea.
Okay, ask Sandy Modell to be here. He wrote the book. Some of the stuff was shocking. I'd never seen it before, but for most of it is true.
And you're saying that Marcino, by the way, did you see his picture coming over the bridge? You see that big billboard of his picture over there?
I think Marcino wastes a lot of money, and that's why you have the problem at the jail. Okay.
They're
letting people go at the jail.
Oh, they're letting them go?
Yeah. That was reported by two different TV stations, I believe.
You're getting off the subject here. When you come over the bridge, there's a big giant billboard.
Yes, he spends a lot of money on billboards. He spent $1 million on that giant video screen, and meanwhile, he's letting people out of the jail.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
So you're not a Marcino fan.
He's charming in person. I'd never vote for the guy in a million years. Is he funny? Is he charming? Is he there with his little SWAT team and going to every crime scene? Yeah, but I agree with him on the Modell murder, Ryan Modell murder. He's been good on that.
And Amira Fox was the prosecutor at the time, right?
Amira Fox has refused to prosecute the case, which is wrong.
The whole thing is corrupt. The whole government
doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way.
It's been that way since,
I don't think we have to tolerate corruption in Lee County. I think
tolerating the corruption.
Okay. And what I'm glad is we have a lot of problems at the Lee County Republican Party, and there's a new group of people.
Okay. I do want to ask you about that, but one last question on Marcino. Did you think the perp walk of the 10-year-old was good or bad?
That was bad. That was foolish.
Yeah.
I mean, a 10-year-old, come on. And the sheriff doing it himself.
I didn't see that. Did he do it himself?
I thought it was Marcino who did it himself.
Was it Marcino? I don't know.
You'd have to check.
If there was a TV camera there, I'm sure he did it.
There's too much emphasis on flash, pizzazz, promotion.
Yeah. If you come here and commit a crime, we will kill you.
$1 million video screen behind him for press conferences.
Are you sure it was $1 million? You do a public doc request for
one
that?
reporter told me that
from
a local TV station, said it was 1.1 million. Okay.
Well, with the prices and inflation and the Biden economy, it's crazy.
And meanwhile, they're turning away people from the jail.
Yeah.
People call to tell me these things, and
Why?
I say, why don't they talk to you?
I don't know.
Because
why are they turning people away? Like, are people knocking on the door trying to get into jail and they're turning them away, or what do you mean?
Apparently, certain agencies are bringing people to the Lee County Jail, the Stockade, and the sheriff's office saying we won't take them.
Because they have COVID.
But baloney. COVID's over. Okay.
Well, Biden said it was over.
Well, I mean, the whole massive pandemic, it's still around a little.
Yeah.
But
so now that the pandemic is over, shouldn't all those people that got released from the service be allowed back in?
I think so, but that's different.
Yeah.
That's
sorry.
I can't
I didn't mean
question
to
the commander in
sidetrack you
chief.
that. Now
okay?
the Republican
if
Party.
the Army says you got to get the shot, you got to get the shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And so I did get the
You're
Pfizer.
like a sheep. You got to be like a
Or
sheep
don't-
in the army, or
we
resign.
We report to the commander in chief.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm in the.
I hear you.
Yeah,
I hear
have
you.
to-
We appreciate it. Well, what do you think? What's your handicap on the war in Ukraine? Who's going to win that sucker?
I don't know. I'm just afraid it might get out of control.
Yeah. You
That's
think crazy guy will hit the nuke button if
He
he
might,
starts
and
losing?
that's what I'm worried about.
Where will he drop that first nuke? Won't be over here, right? I mean,
No, it'll be somewhere on Ukraine, maybe.
maybe Cape Cod or no, never mind.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm from Massachusetts. so
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
What did you think about those 50
I
refugees?
thought it was great.
It was great. And they declared a state of an emergency.
I'm voting for DeSantis. I
Yeah.
voted for him. I supported him in the primary. I voted for him. I went door to door for him. But in
Did you have that Band-Aid on when you went door
yes,
to door?
Yes, and scared people. I scared them to vote for DeSantis. You better vote for DeSantis.
Oh.
But if you read that book, DeSantis needs
Again with the book. Did you
read it.
Did you think he's
It-
gonna?
read it.
I read it.
read the whole thing.
I read a quarter of
It's
it.
critical of DeSantis, but all it wants him to do is take action
I hear
on that
you.
murder case.
So, are you getting any proceeds from that book, by the way, or you got it kind of a?
Not a dime.
I see. So wait, is DeSantis going to run for president? You think? Alfie thinks Trump should run and win.
I think Trump will run and win.
It's
I
not
do.
that easy.
All right.
I
Oh,
think
it'll
he
be tough.
probably will run, but
I think he will run. He will win the primary,
of course.
and he'll win the presidency.
Who's
especially-
gonna be his running mate?
Maybe DeSantis.
No, he's not a number 2 to anybody.
Maybe.
Come on.
Okay, we'll see.
Nikki
see.
Haley.
Maybe. Okay, I love Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
I think he's great. I think Tom Cotton, who I met,
Yeah.
we're both fellow Army guys. He's 101st. I'm 82nd.
Look at you throwing all around.
okay.
Like, how many people have you killed?
Not enough.
I
No,
see.
no.
Have you ever killed anybody?
No, but I was in the artillery, so I blew up people.
Nice. So
And-
you didn't know who you killed. You were
Correct.
just shooting that.
I
How
was in
far
the
how far can that weapon go that
Very
you were
far.
shooting? Like miles?
I don't recall. It was a long time
Are
ago.
you sure you were in the army?
I was prior enlisted, 155 self-propelled. I was
I have no idea what you're saying. So you could
okay.
be
Well,
right.
people who are in the artillery, I spent my 13 weeks at Fort Sill, enlisted soldier, artillery.
Where's Fort Sill?
13
What
Oklahoma.
state? Oh, good answer.
Okay, 13 Bravo, and then I switched over and got my commission in the JAG Corps many years ago.
How many total years have you been in?
A combination of active duty and reserve, 27 years.
Look at you.
Yeah, I'm a lieutenant
You-
colonel.
you get
but
a-
I do not speak for the Army. I'm speaking for myself, and I'm on leave.
Do they tell you need to say that wherever you go
Yes.
just to be safe?
Yes.
So
Okay.
the Republican Party in Lee County is a machine. If they get
But
behind
there's
you,
cracks in the machine.
I
there is.
haven't seen any. I'm sure there are
The
cracks.
machine is backing Jada,
Yes.
but the voters are backing Denise.
Well, we'll see about that, but it's a closer race than you would have
Yeah.
expected.
And if you follow what's going on in the Lee County Republican Party,
Do tell.
there's a new group coming on board that's not part of the machine. I just watch it on Facebook.
Oh, did
Okay.
they broadcast it on Facebook?
They try to, but then Mr. Martin grabs the
Yeah. Well,
the phone.
I saw that. I did
Yeah.
see that.
That was
video.
outrageous.
I think they would get more views if they allowed that to happen
Well,
because you need to have some drama.
The current regime at the Republican Executive Committee doesn't want it to be public, and
Why?
because they're part of the machine, the corrupt machine.
But they
Okay.
believe, you see, I have this
It's
conversation.
a small group, by the way.
What is?
Most Republicans and most members of the Republican Executive Committee are good people and friends of mine.
Yeah.
But the current leadership is very backwards and often very corrupt.
I don't know what you mean by backwards and corrupt. Are you saying they're stealing
Banning-
money?
No. Banning public access, canceling meetings, not letting people join, making it tough to join. The Republican Party should be inclusive, not exclusive. Okay. And if you've been watching on Facebook, the last couple of meetings, they've gotten very hostile. There's a good group of people who are passing conservative resolutions, who are calling for new members.
Well, why wouldn't the leadership want conservative resolutions passed?
The establishment of Lee County likes to keep things small and controlled.
But you have to look at the other side. I try and look at the other side. Like my wife and I have this discussion. I don't want to call it an argument. She doesn't like the machine the way it's operating, and my answer always is, well, Lee County is a well-oiled machine. It's running well
with cracks.
But my point is, there were years where that Lee County board was a shit show. It's not. It's people are I believe people are happy with the way things are running. They're happy with Sheriff Marcino because he's a no-nonsense sheriff.
Okay.
The budget at the sheriff's department is clearly out of control. The school board budget is clearly out of control.
I wouldn't say no nonsense. I'd say he's charming. He's charismatic. He's fiscally irresponsible.
The way he comes across is, if you commit a crime in this county, you're going to get shot. And for some reason, people are attracted to that. Am I wrong about that?
Of course, people are attracted. It's a good slogan.
They feel safe.
Like Bill Clinton feels your pain.
Exactly right.
It's all political. I'll feel your pain.
Don't. There's no touching.
Okay.
I think there's the politics in that works.
I think sometimes people see through it.
Not enough. Not enough.
You're right. Well, with a show like this and other shows, maybe. And like I said, is Marcino a nice guy? I've met him.
He's a total politician,
but sometimes a little too political. And I'm worried about what they're doing at the jail with letting people go. And many people have reported on that. Okay. Apparently, if domestic violence misdemeanor, you bring them to the jail, the cops are complaining about it big time.
So let's talk about how you think the cracks are going to work, or are they just? Well, let me back up to that.
I think Denise Nystrom is taking on the machine, and I think she's going to win with the help of Alfie and other good citizens.
It's so fun to me to watch the cracks in the support. Like, you don't often see Alfie and Brendan Leslie not agreeing on things.
I'm with Alfie. I'm with Alfie for Denise Nystrom.
I'm with Alfie too.
I'm with Alfie Oakes. Okay, who I think should run for president someday. Okay,
now you're getting a little crazy. He's got a business to run. Come on.
Well, all right. What I'm saying,
last night when we had him on, he was totally about there's the corruption going on, and the corruption word here and the corruption word there.
And the school board went against Alfie because he spoke out. For cops.
I asked him about the lawsuit, and he said he couldn't talk about it last night, but he might be able to talk about it in February. That's where they found
the corruption in contracts, because they canceled his contract because he was giving the schools vegetables, and it was a good contract. He speaks out for the cops against Black Lives Matter. They canceled the contract.
Well, they were conservative vegetables, and you can't have that
That's
in school.
Right.
They have to be
conservative vegetables.
So is there really this CRT stuff being taught in schools? And I know there was some stuff in Sanibel
and a lot of the school boards in Collier and Lee push some very sexually forward, sexually explicit books for kids. Okay.
What do you mean by that? I mean, why are they doing that? And how does it get through?
I think it's an agenda. There's a great group called Florida Citizens Alliance. Look it up online. It's a great group who have been documenting how sometimes the school board pushes sexually explicit books on fourth graders.
Well, I mean, what's the reasoning behind that? The fourth graders really need to know about
taking our picture.
Yeah. Well, that's my crew here.
Okay.
For propaganda later.
I think there's an agenda by the bureaucracy and some of the school board members.
Why? I mean, why do you need
I think it's ideological. I really do.
I'm not so concerned about the sex, although I am concerned about the sex.
Not for fourth graders, not for third graders.
Right. All that stuff should be handled by the parents. But
and I wouldn't ban the books. I just restrict them, 18 and up.
I'd ban them.
Okay.
18 and up. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say, okay, if you're 18 and still in high school, fine, you can look at these books, but don't be pushing them on third graders and second graders. And Heather has
how
two
old
mommies.
Is a second grader?
I have no idea.
A third grader. What is a second grader?
I don't know.
7,
my
6,
nephew's
7?
9. My niece is 5. She's in kindergarten. So it's
what is the obsession with the gender thing on the kids? Why are you trying to confuse kids to the gender thing? Like, are you really sure you want to be a boy, or really sure? And I know I'm going to aggravate people by asking that question, but why does that have to be part of the school curriculum or any teacher? Did you see the school teacher that in the shop class that was I think it was in Canada, that was a man, and now he thinks he's a woman, and he got breast implants that were so gigantic, and the nipples at the end of the breast were so gigantic. Did you see that? And that person is allowed to teach shop class. I mean, it seems like it would be a hazard to get close to a saw with those. They were absurdly big.
There's a small group of radicals who have an agenda, and they really want to politicize children and sexualize them. Okay. And
why would anyone do that?
They have an agenda. Okay, they do. Call
What's
it
the
grooming.
agenda?
I don't know. It's a crazed group of nuts. It's on that Twitter group of crazed, look,
Libs of TikTok, is that what you mean?
what you want to do at your home is your business. But
Yeah.
what you want to talk about in front of third graders is everyone's business, particularly parents' business. And parents don't like any sexual agenda being talked to second graders. Okay,
That's why I think more parents are involved in the school board than they've ever
Mama
been
Bears.
before. Yeah.
Okay, and what's that group? Moms for Liberty.
Mama Bears, is that a group?
I think it's a saying that some conservative parents have said before school boards. And there's Moms for Liberty, which did endorse Denise Nystrom.
Yeah.
Okay, all the conservative groups have endorsed Denise Nystrom for school board.
She's got an uphill climb. I mean, I think that it was interesting to see how close it was in the primary. So, what is it going to take for her to win?
I think getting the word out, coming on your show, radio ads. But she's been campaigning nonstop.
Yeah.
I think her message is just better and her experience is better.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure about that. Now, what do you know what the money difference is? Does she need to raise a lot more money to compete?
You can go to her web. I'm not her manager. I don't even think I've personally met Denise Nystrom.
Yeah.
But if you can find her by just Google search, Denise Nystrom. If anybody wants to donate, they can. But I think it's a combination of money and message.
Yeah.
And getting out there and getting on shows like this and talking to voters.
Yeah, we do have her lined up before the election, and I think we're going to do the whole hour with her. And
I wonder if her opponent would do a debate on your show.
I've already asked her. I've asked Jada to come on 3 or 4 times, and here's what happened. I'm going to tell you guys. I reposted something that Denise put up because now I want to get Denise's information out there because Kim really likes her. She's done the research. She thinks she has great experience.
Yes.
My wife works in the school district. That which has nothing to do with anything, but she pays closer attention to the school district. So, and I called Denise. She's called and she answers all the questions.
Sure.
And so I reposted something about Denise, and then immediately I'm getting shit from people like, you don't know how toxic she is, and I'm like,
the machine.
Listen,
Anytime you cause a stink and you call out corruption, you call out bad policy, you're called toxic, you're called obnoxious, you're called rude. Unfortunately, there's a machine largely sponsored by the current leadership at the Republican Executive Committee that badmouths anyone who's not endorsed by the machine. And that's a problem.
So I started asking people that I know, what am I missing? I mean, obviously, if you're saying she's toxic, there needs to be a reason for it. I don't even know what that means. And so nobody's been able to give me the evidence that she's toxic.
She's a very nice lady.
Yeah.
Miss Jada's a very nice lady.
For sure.
But Jada should debate. That's the problem.
Let the people decide then.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay. So, and my point was, I've asked Jada 3 or 4 times to come on, and the person that said to me, you should talk to Jada, you should because Denise is toxic. I said, hey, I'm done asking Jada to come on the show. I'm not begging anyone to come on the show. I just don't give a shit that much anymore.
On Mr. Leslie's program, they were calling Denise profanities. That's how that.
And he apologized for that.
Okay, but that was wrong.
And there was no reason for it, and he did apologize for it.
And he never met her.
But it was, and for the record, it wasn't Brendan. It was somebody else on stage. So let's talk about
his show.
It was his show. Let's talk about what are you guys battling about? He really.
Well, it's funny because
what did he accuse you of?
Down in, I don't know. He just called me names. No big deal. Down in Collier, I agree with him. But in Lee County, he tends to endorse all the rhinos. All the most liberal people running for local office.
Before I forget,
Republican in name only. That's what a rhino is.
Alfie said last night that Jada was Brendan's personal trainer. Is that true?
I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that. Okay.
Is that true?
I believe so.
I didn't know that.
I don't know. I'm more.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm pro Denise Nystrom.
Do you have a personal trainer?
No. Well, the Army got me up at 6:30 every morning for the last 6 months.
What was the best shape you were ever in?
Right after coming out of Fort Sill. In 1996, after 13 weeks of basic training.
Yeah. How much did you weigh then?
About 20 pounds less.
6-pack abs?
Yes.
How many push-ups in a minute?
About 60.
60 push-ups. And how many now?
About 40.
40 in 2 minutes?
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 55.
Okay. Well, you're over the hill just like me.
I can still pass the Army PT test, the new one, the ACFT.
You can. What is the Army PT test?
It's now 6 events.
Yeah.
And it's really combat related.
Yeah.
You have to lift, run, slide like you're going over a fence, 2-mile run.
And what time?
I think at my old age, 22 minutes.
22 minutes to run 2 miles.
Yeah.
You can walk that.
If you're younger, it goes down.
Is it any like serious, like you got to run it in 12 minutes?
No, but there are some guys I know who can, because
For sure.
The 82nd Airborne is where they recruit for Special Forces, Delta Force, Rangers. I tons of guys I'm working with, Ranger tabs, Sapper tabs. It was really it kind of broke me.
Do you
Not
think
for an old guy?
Do you think this new conscription group that Putin's calling up has any chance of running 2 miles in 22 minutes?
No.
The ones that, especially the ones that are
if you're
breaking their
younger,
arms.
if you're like 18, come down 5 minutes, come down to 18, 19 minutes.
Fastest mile you've ever run?
Oh, when I was in high school, 450.
Get out.
I was 18,
450.
17 years
That's
old.
like world record.
1 mile?
Yeah.
1 mile. I did it in 4:55, I think, in high school.
Wow.
Okay. In high school, I was about 30 pounds lighter and about 40 years younger.
Oh, shit. We're running over. Anything else you want to say? You got to come back. We got to do another show.
Well, maybe after I get back from the Army.
From killing people.
So
no, you're going to Guantanamo.
I do.
We waterboarded people down there.
Separation boards, letters of reprimand. I'm in the legal office.
Separation boards.
Yes.
Are we still waterboarding those guys down there?
I don't know. I don't think I'm going to work in that wing.
Yeah.
I'm going to work more with the military police.
Do you think that the Americans would be in favor of waterboarding those fuckers down there or not?
Sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. They're pretty bad.
How long could you hold your breath underwater?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Kim thinks she can do it for 2 minutes.
I might be able to.
Yeah.
Because I grew up. I love the ocean. One reason I moved down here is the Red Sox spring training. Okay, that's why.
Have you been to the new facility?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right where we live. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah. There's 17 games out though.
I know. Bad season. Well, maybe they'll reincarnate Ted Williams from Chirostasis.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks
it's
for
a lot
having
of fun. Chris Crowley, everybody.
Thanks
it was a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much. We have to have you on again.
And by the way, there's that book on Amazon.
I know. That's 5 times you
Murder
said it
and
now.
Corruption in Florida.
Do you have like they order
Corruption
it
and Murder in Florida? Nope.
They order it through your
money
website.
from. I think it's a good long explanation of Lee County and the corruption in Lee County.
All right, I'll post it up there with the link for people to get it.
All right,
thank you. So, Chris
All right,
Crowley,
have a great
everybody.
day.
All right, before we get to our next guest, I'm going to tell you about. I need a little music here. I need a little music. Oh, that's the wrong one. I got to shut that one off. Oh, there we go. I always feel more comfortable when the music's playing. Now, your job, Steve, is to get our next guest and warm them up in the green room while I tell everybody, thank you, Jim. Yeah, he was great. He was a lot of fun. Steve is rearranging the chairs, and I don't think he understands that nobody touches the chairs. Okay, this might be his last show. Beach Pottery, everybody, 17980 San Carlos Boulevard in Fort Myers, on the way to Fort Myers Beach. It's not technically Fort Myers Beach because I think they get fire and they get library bills, but they don't get to vote. So you know what I'm saying. They're coming right over the bridge on the right-hand side. You see the pots in the front yard. You see the pots in the backyard. And if you go inside, you'll see the pots on the inside. Thousands and thousands of pots imported from Vietnam and from Mexico. None from Guantanamo Bay. You know, that's what they should make those suckers do down there while they're wasting away after their murderous rants and murderous plots against America. They should just make them make pots and not license plates, pots. Somebody should teach them how to make pots. I don't know if people would buy them, though, after that. Over an acre of property, 8,000 pots, Charlie. If you ever need a pot, man, it's Beach Pottery, 17980 San Carlos Boulevard is where you want to go. Yeah, come on, sit down, Steve. I mean, come on. Royal Scoop FMB is the official ice cream of Fort Myers Beach. And you know where they're located. They're located right next to the Tuckaway Cafe. And let's see, did they give me any new flavors to talk about? They have 52 flavors available for you to sample. And Kim's favorite is Espresso Chip. Steve's favorite is Cookie Monster. And Charlie's favorite is Bohemian Raspberry. They also have watermelon sorbet. And we love ice cream. Charlie, do you love ice cream?
I do.
Well, if you ever need ice cream, the Royal Scoop is the official ice cream of Beach Talk Radio, and we appreciate their support. They have indoor and outdoor seating, Charlie, which means for Steve, who doesn't really understand a lot, you can sit inside, you can sit outside.
Three scoops of vanilla on a cake cone, and Royal Scoop does a great job of stacking it up. About that tall.
Look at you doing the ad there. Nice, very nice. Make sure you tell them that Beach Talk Radio sent you. They're about a quarter mile down the road on the same side as the Whale, and which is going to have their official grand opening on October the 1st. So Royal Scoop, we appreciate those guys down there. They've been a sponsor for a few months now, and we love those guys. And we actually had one of our candidate forums down there. Oh, shit, I forgot to do the speed round questions with Chris. He was a great guest. I don't know if you had a chance to hear him. We could go on for a whole hour. He's a talker. All right, Charlie, before we get going and we tell everybody who you are, we have to do a speed round of questions. You know what that means? That means I play the clock. You can't hear it, but our 9 listeners can hear it. And I ask you very personal questions. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go. The clock is running. Are you a dog or a cat person?
Cat.
You can't take this long. For that was an easy question, Charlie. You're going to have to step it up a little bit. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
What was your favorite TV show growing up?
Dobie Gillis.
No idea what that is. What is that? Dobie Gillis. Was that a show or
Yes, it was.
a person in a show?
No.
It was a show. Gotcha.
That's the guy that played Gilligan on Gilligan's Island.
It was not.
No, it was not. He didn't play Gilligan. It was another guy that played Gilligan.
Who was the guy that played Gilligan? That's a great trivia question. What was the guy's name?
He was the one on. He got lost. Three whatever it was.
3 hour tour. Yeah.
and
But what was the guy's name? What was his real name? Gilligan. Anyway, back to the question.
Bob Denver.
That's it.
Is that right? Did you get that right?
He did.
I got to give you a bell for that, Grandpa. All right. What was your favorite movie of all time? Don't say Top Gun. You're
No,
out.
I'm not going to say Top Gun.
Thank you.
I'm going to say
Thank you, Parker.
Doctor Strangelove.
Dr. Strangelove. Is that like a James Bond movie?
No.
No. Okay. Who is the most important, most interesting person in your life outside your family?
Probably the headmaster at the school I got thrown out of.
Okay, there's definitely a story there. We'll ask you about that later. If you had 30 minutes and a tape recorder, who would you interview and why?
I don't know. There's way too many people that I'm interested to find out about. I can't name one.
I'll accept that. You sure you don't want to phone a friend or something, or are you good? You're good.
No,
All right. What is your most embarrassing moment in life?
too many to name.
No, you're not getting away with that. Did your pants fall down somewhere? Everybody else's pants fell down somewhere.
No, my pants didn't fall down.
No.
Getting thrown out of school.
All right. Well, that's a repeat. But anyway, Charlie Green. Charlie Green. I have a very crappy memory, Charlie. You have a history with Fort Myers Beach. Before we tell everybody why you're here, tell us about you grew up here on Fort Myers Beach.
I grew up on Fort Myers Beach. I came here as a baby in 1947.
Crazy.
My family goes back 5 generations in Southwest Florida. My grandfather lived on Fort Myers Beach. We stayed 9 years. Then we moved to town for 3 years and moved back to the beach where Paradise was. My father and all my father's family were all commercial fishermen. I am not a commercial fisherman, but I did a lot of commercial fishing.
So you were down here like when there was a drawbridge and when this was a road here. You saw
no drawbridge. It was a swing bridge.
Oh, sorry.
And it would get stuck open, and you were stuck on the island until they fixed it. And as a kid, it was fun to ride on there if you knew the bridge tender. And when it broke down, he'd ask you to help take the manual wrench to close it.
Do you have pictures from those times? That
we have some.
Yeah. What else do you remember from back in those days about the beach? It's so different now.
I can remember when I was in first grade telling my mother I was going to walk down to the beach and go swimming, and she'd say, "Be home for lunch." We had almost free run of the beach. We knew everybody on the beach, and everyone knew my dog, which probably could be one of my most embarrassing moments, but I won't go into detail.
Because of everybody knowing your dog or something?
Everybody knew my dog. It was the reason why they knew my dog.
Okay.
Next question.
I see. All right. Lots of secrets today, Charlie. I'm not so sure I like the secret part of what's going on here. So when you look at the beach now and you see how it's changed, do you think it's changed for the better?
I can understand why a lot of people like the beach. The beach has always drawn people that are looking to relax. It's drawn people that are interested in, having a good time. It's a easy place to live. You can't beat the sand and you can't beat the water. It's I know why people moved here. I have no hard feelings for those people that moved in.
Mm-hmm. I don't think you really answered my question, but thank you for whatever that answer was. So you then got involved in politics.
I did, but the clerk's office is really not political. It's
Right.
a ministerial office.
Like a church office, you say?
No.
Okay. When you talk about the clerk's office, you tell us what you mean. You're
the clerk's office,
clerk.
Yeah. Clerk of the circuit court in Florida has basically two major responsibilities. They keep all the court records and disperse them. They keep all the county records. All these are official records, and utilize those for open to the public. And they invest and pay all the county's bills. So it's really you're the chief accountant and also the chief record keeper.
That's a pretty big job.
Yeah, there was about 300 of us in there.
And how much money was coming in?
And sometimes we'd have almost $1,700,000,000 in there in the bank, 700 million. But that was right at the beginning. And then throughout the year, you disperse it and funds come and go.
Gotcha. And so, are you going to participate at all today, or are you just going to sit here the whole time? Any questions for Charlie?
I'm waiting for the good stuff to start.
I see. So, you were in that position what years and until when?
I was elected in 1984, and I left office about 10 years ago.
Okay. So, you were there a long time.
Yeah.
So, and did you work with the judges too? You deal with the judges?
Yes.
And so, any funny conversations you can share with us about the judges? And because nobody gets really to see behind the curtain or behind the robe.
Well, they're not supposed to, but
see.
the judges are human. We have a lot of really good judges in Lee County. We have some that are questionable, but
Which
that's
ones?
in any. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I see. Well,
Good answer.
Yeah. So, what's it like working with the judges?
It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we pushed through getting all of the records on in the computer and having an open access for the records so that people outside of the courthouse could have access. You can access the records now from almost anywhere in the world.
Yeah, that's what I love about Florida. It's so open to the public. I mean, if you're hiding from the public, you really have to try in this state.
You got to bury up deep.
Yeah, and some people do try in this state.
Well,
right?
Maybe they should.
Yeah. So you're like you are like me, I think. You want people to have more of their own money. You want people to have access to good customer service. You want the politicians to be open and honest and reachable and the whole thing. And you were saying that you invested the money from the real estate taxes that came in.
No. The real estate taxes that came in originally they go to the tax collector and then he transfers it to the county. Yeah, we did invest that money, and we've always invested in T-bills so that we were governmentally insured.
But talk about the banks, how the banks are trying to.
Well, you always had some of the big New York bankers were trying to come down here and get you to invest in something that might not be appropriate for somebody else's money.
Right, the taxpayers' money.
Right, and we avoided that, thank goodness. But I used to chuckle when they would try to explain to me what they were selling, and it would go on for about an hour and a half, and I'd say, in 15 minutes, sum up what you just told me. Blah, 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 blah. They couldn't.
And so your point was, it's the taxpayers' money. You want it to be as safe as possible because you want it to be there when it needs to be there.
It's not my money, it's their money,
right.
And our job is to make sure it's there.
And the other thing that you were talking about was the customer service that you wanted to make sure that people had when they came in to see your office.
Yeah, when they came into the clerk's office, if you had to pay you have to pay a ticket or something, I wanted that person to leave the counter going, I got really good service in spite of the fact that I had to pay money. The customer service was good and it was fast. That's what I wanted them to remember.
And the last thing about that was, I know I asked you about it before. the DMV or the tax collector's office in Lehigh or wherever you got to go. Kim's gone to the one downtown, and she has always said that's fast. But the one in Lehigh is like at 8 o'clock in the morning. There's 40 people waiting outside. By the time the door opens, there's 1,000 people. It's like, what the hell is going on in that building?
But they're very efficient there too. They have it down.
No, they're not. You have to wait hours. You plan on half a day there.
The one right here, I think you have to make an appointment, but you get in pretty quick, and they're efficiently. They get you out of there. I mean, they have good professional people.
Oh no, the people are great. The people are great. It's when you finally get to them that you want to strangle somebody.
After you asked me that question before, I started thinking about one thing that's happened to Florida, and particularly Lee County in the last 2 years or 3 years, is we've had such an influx of new people.
Yeah.
And all those people are coming in to get licenses. They're coming in to get license plates. They're going to register their property, blah, 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 blah. And all that takes time. So that's part of it. But the tax collector, from my position, has a lot of duties.
Too many.
They could spread those around a little bit.
So let's talk about the main reason you're here. I mean, you've got such a great legacy. I wanted to make sure we touched on that. I didn't know until this morning that you grew up on Fort Myers Beach, which is so cool. Of course, I'm going off the subject again, but are there any names from back then that you recall that are kind of still here, like Santini and? Oh
yeah, I knew all the Santinis.
Yeah,
Nick, Leonard, all of them. Moody.
Oh yes, Moody. Love that
Santini.
Guy. Yeah.
And there's still some Santinis around.
Yeah.
We had in-law Swope was the deputy sheriff on the island.
There was a deputy sheriff that was like a community police officer.
Yes, he did. And the in-law was
wait, what year was that? Approximately.
That was in the late 50s, early 60s.
In the 50s and 60s, you had a deputy down here.
Yeah, and he lived at the end of Palermo Circle, and we lived on Palermo Circle.
Yeah, in one of those big mansions.
No, we had a house.
A cottage.
Yes, which has since been torn down and now is a big mansion.
Oh, what a shame.
But anyway, in-law was a great guy. He worked with the people instead of abused them.
Or what do you mean by that?
Well, if you were a kid and you did something wrong, he came over and helped you understand why.
Yeah.
As your parents looked on.
Yeah, whack you around a little bit.
No, he was.
Billy club
it was fun. I mean, it was a great community.
Little mace in the eyes.
The worst punishment was that probably he took away your beer and dumped it out.
Well, I didn't drink
beer.
when I was in
What's wrong with
elementary
you?
school.
What's wrong with you?
I waited
man?
till junior high.
How dare you ask that question? Junior
but
high. What were you drinking in junior high?
I was teasing.
Schlitz.
But he was a real godsend for the island. We had some other folks that'll. I used to sell fish over to across the bridge.
Yeah.
Catch trout and sell them.
Right out of the bucket.
Right out of the boat.
Oh,
trout.
out of the boat. Gotcha.
Yeah.
You weren't fishing off the pier that's closed now and then just.
Anyway, it was when I look back, it was a great place to grow up.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
75.
75. You're in great shape and you got really cool hair. I mean, how do you keep your hair in such great shape like that?
I wash it.
Okay. Special shampoo or anything? Or
no.
Do you ever think you use a little?
Once in a while, use a little hairspray so I don't get
Yeah,
blinded.
I was going to say any mousse or something. A lot of guests we have use mousse. It's what flavor hairspray?
I don't have no idea. It's whatever my wife has in there.
Oh, she uses hairspray too?
No.
Okay, she buys it for you. Gotcha.
No, she uses it once in a while.
Yeah. So the main reason you're here, other than, I mean, we could talk history for the whole hour. I mean, you're like a historian. Is that you're part of an organization that is trying to educate the community about this asinine, bizarre idea to elect the school superintendent. Now, that's just my opinion. You might feel the same. You might not.
You know what? That's my opinion.
Thank you. And so your organization is called?
It's called, let me give you the correct thing so
You
I
don't-
don't blow it.
Yeah, no worries. And we're going to read what you guys are going to have to look at to quality schools for the future.
Quality schools for the future
Yeah.
of Lee County.
Yeah.
And it's quality schools is what you want to remember if you want to donate.
Yeah. And you are raising money because you need to help educate the people on the ballot. Now, Steve's going to hold your microphone because I want you to read what the folks are going to have to try and decipher in November when you're going to go and vote not only for Denise Nystrom, but you're going to vote yes or no, and the vote is no. By the way,
The vote is no. I'll start that by getting that going. Okay, here's what the legislature has put on the last item on the ballot coming up November 8th. Remember that, the last ballot on November 8th. It says, repealing resolution providing for an appointed rather than an elected superintendent for schools. Let me put on my glasses. That's blind.
don't worry. You're 75, man. You can do whatever the hell you want.
Currently, by resolution of the Lee County School Board, the superintendent of schools for the Lee County School District is an appointed rather than an elected position. Shall Chapter 2022 Laws of Florida, which repeals the aforesaid resolution and provides that the superintendent of schools shall no longer be appointed by the Lee County School Board, but rather shall be elected in a position in a partisan election by vote of qualified electors residing in Lee County for a term of 4 years, beginning with the 2024 general election, becomes effective with a question mark. Now, if you understand that, then you need to vote no.
Nobody's going to understand it, and that the reason we wanted to read that on the show is because that's the way it's going to look
That's exactly the way it's written on the ballot.
And that it's totally confusing on purpose.
If 6 white mice and 4 canaries fly together to Cuba, what is the time and distance that they will travel? That's how much that means to me.
Who wrote it?
Wait, is there an answer to that question
No,
you just asked?
it's written by the Florida legislature.
So what was that last question? Ask that one again. How did you memorize that?
I just made it up.
You just made that up now.
Yeah, six white mice and 3 canaries go to Cuba.
Yeah.
What is the time and distance that they go?
Well, it's 90 miles. We know that. Well, the mice can't make it. They'll die in the water. The canaries,
they'll drown off the pier.
The canaries will be shot down by the Cuban armed forces.
Probably the missiles.
Yeah.
The Russian missiles.
Yeah.
So anyway, the confusing part is the confusing part, and the answer is just vote no. I mean,
no.
Unless you now, why do you think that there's this push to get this position elected? They just hired a new superintendent. He's just getting his feet under him. He seems like he's doing a decent job. Okay, sometimes people say the school board is dysfunctional. You can watch some meetings and you can say, well, the school board's kind of dysfunctional.
Well, the school board's got a big job. They've got a $2 billion budget. They've got all kinds of controversy. You've got people out there that are split on almost every issue that comes out on the media. So these people go to the school board meetings. They're rip-roaring and angry, and they're going to take it out on the school board. So the school board, from my, that's a tough job. But if you put in there an elected superintendent, now they're going to have to fight the superintendent as well as the general public. What you want is a superintendent that steps in there who has experience, who knows how to run an organization.
CEO.
A CEO who runs an organization of $2 billion that has 12,000 employees, has innumerable
12,000 employees.
You want somebody who's got experience and somebody who's qualified. If the school board doesn't like the job that the superintendent is doing, they can fire him. If you elect one, that person would be there for 4 years. It just makes sense to have a qualified CEO running your school and helping the school board do their job.
How doesn't an elected school superintendent render the school board useless?
Well, I don't think it renders them useless, but I think it gets in the way of making decisions because you could have 2 totally different opinions on what should happen for your schools. Schools are probably, next to family, the most important social aspect we have in this country. It unifies people. They get to know people from other walks of life. They go through school with them. They have time with them, and they develop friendships, and it builds a stronger community.
Well, I guess I asked that because if the school board, if the school superintendent, he or she is popular with the voters, he could just ignore anything the school board's telling him. All he needs to worry about or she needs to worry about is being elected the next time around. They can't fire him.
Yeah, that's the perfect answer.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
excellent.
you. The 3 bells for me.
The previous guest, I thought, made a great point. And that point was if you elect good people to the school board with values that represent those of the community, then
But
you can trust them to make a good decision.
He wasn't in favor of it one way or the other. And if you don't like the school superintendent, elect different school board members.
That's right.
That's exactly right. But if you have the right superintendent who's got the right track record, who comes in here, he's going to or she's going to make sure that the communication between the community, the employees of the school, and the school board are on the same page. That's what a good CEO does.
Right.
They unify an organization.
Right. So Jenna Parsons appears to be the person behind this, but it's never one person. Who's behind this?
I don't really know. There's so much party politics right now, and so much money flowing into politics. It's hard to tell who's behind what.
You know, I love the Republican. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Conservative Party. I don't think that exists, but it was so funny last night when we interviewed Alfie. He hates the Republican Party, and he's behind Denise. And I don't think he really had an opinion on. I don't remember if he had an opinion on the elected school board thing, but I mean, it is all corrupt. The whole thing's corrupt. The machine needs to be.
Our lives are many facets.
Yeah.
There are some facets of one party I like, some facets of that party I don't like. There are some things that I wish they would change. There are some things I wish they wouldn't. But the one thing that I think I see now more than anything is this constant line that's drawn in the sand that nobody wants to cross.
What is that line? What do you mean?
They're afraid to express themselves to the other party because they don't want to think they're going to lose votes.
Well, what other party?
Either one.
There's no other party in Lee County, though. There's no Democratic Party. Is there? Where are they hiding? Is there any Democrat?
There are Democrats in Lee County, and nobody is 100%. I'm a Republican. I'm 100% Democrat.
Yeah. Well, I don't want the Democrats to
It should be issue oriented, and people should be able to express themselves in a civil manner.
Well, the thing too is in Lee County, and I'm not so sure I have a major problem with it, but if they get this passed, they already know who's going to be voted in. I mean, they wouldn't do it without a plan. That's what this machine does in Lee County. They always have a plan. There's got to be somebody that they have that's already in their back pocket that they're ready to get whoever the person is, which is surprising to me why the school board race is so close, because Jada is so backed by the machine. They usually will coast to victory, and it just doesn't. They don't do it without a plan. So who is going to be their elected person?
That's a good question.
Thank
I
you.
have no idea.
I get bells for that. You got no bells today yet, Steve?
I got one while ago.
Oh, I see. So where do we go from here, Charlie? How do we fix this mess we're in? What do we need to do?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to make sure we go to the polls and vote no on November 8th on the last issue, the last amendment. And I think the other thing is, I think people are ready, I hope, to sit down and talk to each other about differences of opinion. There's nothing wrong with the difference of opinion. Everyone grows and learns something from somebody else. There's not a single day goes by if you talk to somebody, you don't pick up something that helps you, and hopefully they pick up something from you that might help them. Mm-hmm. If you lock yourself in a box, you're not going to learn anything.
I lock myself in a box a lot. That's why I'm so dumb.
No, you don't listen. You don't listen.
What do you mean by that?
Your memory's bad.
What do you mean I don't listen?
I told you I was coming to Florida.
Yeah.
And then you said,
well, I just ignore you. It's not like I don't listen.
Okay.
If Cindy said she was coming to Florida, I would have listened.
I forgot what I was going to say.
You fit right in here. The 75-year-old guy remembers more than the two of us do.
You have me all pissed off now. I don't know what I was going to say.
Charlie,
Steve, welcome to my world.
How much money do you think you need to raise to put on a good campaign for this?
I'm hoping we have about 12 grand right now, a little over 12 grand. I'm hoping we can raise between 25 and 30 so that we can mount some kind of a good program, advertising program to get our message out. The main thing people want to do is, if you believe what we're saying and you want to vote no, which you do, then you need to talk to your friends about it. Word of mouth is the most powerful communicator there is.
So before the show started, I was talking to you at your table, and I told you that I'm so confused on which way is better. And then by the time I was done talking to you for 5 minutes, I have a much clearer idea of which way I would vote.
It's really about the
and I would
education
vote-
part of
and
it.
I would vote no. So my point is, there's a whole bunch of people out there right now that don't know the issues, don't know which way is the better way to vote, don't understand the issues, and don't know what to do. Is there? Can you guys distribute, or could you, or whoever supports your view, distribute very basic bullet points on why it's a good idea to vote
I'm sure
no?
if you go
Yes,
on their
and
website,
if you go on our website, you'll see the bullet points. We're also on Facebook.
Good.
you on Facebook?
I'm personally not on Facebook.
Oh, why not?
But we make.
You
I'm
on-
not a social media guy.
You on TikTok?
I spent enough time with the spotlight.
You did. What was your social media back then? Radio?
Hello.
Do you listen to? Do
Do
you
I
still-
listen to radio? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
What
listen to radio.
stations do you listen to?
I listen to FGCU.
I see.
I like a lot of their programs. I listen to a lot of old rock and roll.
Like, okay, what's your name a couple bands you like?
I like the Allman Brothers.
Nice.
Jessica's probably one of my favorites.
Oh, I love that song.
So, and you know, I
When you're
I'm-
sitting at home with your wife, chilling out, having a glass of wine, you turn on the turntable. What's the first thing that pops up?
Pink Floyd.
Nah,
we listen to different Spotify, but
you're
we
on the
also,
Spotify. Look at
Yeah.
you,
and we also
modern age.
play a lot of Scrabble where I get my brain speed out.
Scrabble. Yeah, for anyone that's young that doesn't know what Scrabble is, it's a word game, right? It's a word
not-
game, right?
Yeah, it's not Scrapple.
No,
That's a
Scrabble.
food.
No. So Allman
Philadelphia.
Brothers. Who else?
I like the Three Dog Night.
Nice. Top song, Three Dog Night. What song made it to number one?
The Black and White.
Black and White.
That
Yeah.
did, didn't it?
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't know. I'm music. I'm not a big music fan.
Yeah. Favorite president of all time?
I like the great actor
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
Ronald
Love
Reagan.
that. Love that. Yeah.
He knew how to lead, and he knew how to listen.
Worst president of all time?
I hate to say it, but he deserved it. Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Yeah.
You might
Mr.
be
LeMays.
looking at him
Malaise.
right
yeah.
now.
Now, give him some time. Best Russian president ever?
I like the man that took down the wall,
Yeah.
Mr. Gorbachev.
Right.
Take down this wall.
God bless him. He just passed away. Yep.
Yeah.
Worst
What a-
president of all time?
Worst president of all time of
Yeah,
Russia.
Russia. Yep.
He's in there now.
Yeah.
Root-
Putin.
rootin'
Well, I
tootin'
know there's
Putin.
some crazy other guys in there.
Rootin' Putin.
Khrushchev.
Yeah,
was,
he's rootin' tootin' Putin.
Yeah.
He's absolutely
you worried about getting nuked?
no,
No.
because I know that if he fires one nuke,
We're gonna.
Moscow will vanish.
Yeah, we will turn them into dust. Right?
I
Wouldn't we?
think so.
Yeah. Do you think the guys in Guantanamo Bay should be waterboarded?
No.
No.
I think the best way to get information from them is put them in a real cold room till they shiver and shiver and shiver. Then put them in a hot room. Then take
That
them
sounds
out,
like
put 'em back.
torture. Different kind of torture. Where'd you learn that?
It's just a thought.
I've never heard that one before. Have you? Hot room,
No
cold room,
bruises. No
Nope.
bruises.
clothes on,
Make
clothes
your
off,
own. Make up your own mind which climate you want to live in.
naked, fully clothed. How do you do it?
Doesn't matter. You can turn the thermostat up or down, whatever they're wearing.
I see.
I think the worst thing would be to not allow somebody to go to sleep.
Yeah.
That would kill me.
I think if you played Three Dog Night on a loop, that would be torture enough right there.
That's bullshit. Three Dog Night is awesome.
Well, this was fun, Charlie. I mean, how can we help get the word out? Because I'm all with you guys. I'm on the team.
Just keep every time you turn on your mic.
Yeah.
So
Quality for
that
school.
last amendment on that coming up on
Dumbass
November.
amendment. Yeah.
You need to vote no on that.
Quality schools for the future.
That's right.
Yeah. And if I wanted Kim to volunteer, how would I get her involved?
She could get hold of on the internet.
Yeah.
Go on there and look at our website.
World Wide Web it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can get hold of us because
Yeah.
we'd love to have her.
Gotcha.
We're looking for anyone that believes that education needs to be led by people that are trained.
Right.
You know that FGCU has a program to train administrators.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
They have a train.
and I think most every college probably does.
Yeah.
because it's important. I mean, it is the second most important way to
After
have a
family.
great society.
After family. I think the family's kind of falling apart, Charlie.
Well, if you take the family away
Yeah.
and you take away the school, what the hell's left?
Wow.
Speaking of family, do you think Kim is happy with your questions and comments so far without her being here?
She's not watching this. She's an hour behind. She's in Austin. She can't hear any of it. I'm going to totally delete this episode as soon as I go home.
She will be.
All right, Charlie. Well, thank you so much for coming all the way down. And, you know, we're here to help. And if there's other times that we can have you guys on. No, we had, I already forgot who we had on last week.
Sandra.
Yeah, that's right. Oh man, former school superintendent Bobby. She was great. She's a ball of energy, that lady. Gosh, she's great. And we're gonna have Chris Patrica on next week from the school board. I know we'll be asking her about that.
She's a smart woman.
Yeah.
I like her. She's good.
And anything else you want to tell your fans out there? Your history and anything else?
I wouldn't call them fans, but I hope, please.
You're going to have fans after today, man.
Please vote no on November 8th on the last amendment on the ballot.
Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure.
All right, everybody. Charlie Green from Quality Schools for the Future. And remember to vote no. Vote no. Thank you for coming all the way down. And we'll stay in touch. I'll stay in touch. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think we might do a whole hour with other guests. So I'll set that up. Thank you. Okay. All right. The history of Fort Myers. Yeah, I love that idea too. All right, everybody. If you're tired of wasting money sitting in gas and traffic on Fort Myers Beach, obviously the way to go is Island Carts FMB. You know, it's not so busy now, right, Steve-O?
No, but, it's pretty dead around here.
Yeah, but it will be busy soon. And so if you don't reserve your cart now, you know what you're going to have to do. You're going to get a second-rate cart, which is one of those golf carts from a golf course that went out of business, and they got 3 flat tires and 1 tire that's partially inflated, and you're going to drive around in some piece of crap golf cart. You want modern golf carts. You want to look cool. Everybody's about how you look. You got to look neat. You got to look nice. You got the coolest cart on the block. You don't want no crap cart. You want the nice cart.
You can see his carts, Island carts, coming down Astoria Boulevard from way away. I mean, they're just they look sharp as a tack.
And they have lifelong lasting batteries. They didn't cheap out. You know, when you get in one of those golf carts from the golf course that look like crap, you're so worried that if let's say you're down on the south end and you're trying to fish off the fishingist bridge on the beach, and then you want to come back here where you're staying, you could run out of battery if you go down that far. You know, because you're sitting in traffic and you're waiting for lights to change and you're letting people cross the street. But if you get one of these Island cart suckers, you can drive from here to St. Louis and back.
You could. Have you ever seen a golf cart on the island that are coming down the sidewalk or the bike lane? You ever see that?
Not recently. Have you?
Oh, yeah. It's never an Island Carts cart. It's always those
they
other
know the
rinky-dink
rules.
ones. Yeah.
You know, they deliver it right to your house. And then they'll pick it up right when you're done. So don't leave your shit in the cart. I mean, don't be a pig when you get one of these nice carts because they need to last a long time. And what else do they have? They have Bluetooth, and they have I should read what they have. Well, I've told you what they have, and you can check them out online. What?
So, well, if my 4 grandkids come down here, then is there enough room in there to put like 6 or more people?
Yeah, they have 6-seaters, 4 6-seaters, and they have 6-seaters and 8-seaters. And
wow,
I'm reading it wrong, but your grandkids are little, by the way, right? Yeah. You can sit them one on top of another.
Yeah, 17.
Oh, they're not that little anymore.
Yeah, I got a 17-year-old.
How old are you now?
Way old.
IslandCartsFMB.com or call them now to reserve your cart. 844-FMB-CART, 844-FMB-CART. Oh, while I have you here, Steve, I don't think we've ever done this. I'm going to ask you the speed round of questions before we get to our topic of the debate.
Oh, boy.
You might know the question, so this might be unfair to the audience. Are you ready? The clock is ticking. Dog or cat person?
Dog.
Favorite color?
Green.
Favorite TV show of all time?
Rockford Files.
Rockford Files. And the lead character was?
James Garner.
Nice.
My hero.
Top movie of all time? Don't say top one.
No, Outlaw Josie Wales.
Starring?
Clint Eastwood.
Nice. Is he still alive?
He is. He's sharp as a tack, too.
That guy is no nonsense. He's like a Marcino kind of guy.
Yeah,
he will shoot you if you just look at him wrong. The most important person, interesting person in your life can't be a family member.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kim Ryan.
Oh, you're a jackass. All right. If you won $1 million in the lottery, what would you do with it?
Invest most of it, distribute some to my family.
Pay off the condo you overpaid for?
So Cindy can stop hollering at me. Yep, that'd be a good idea.
You bought a condo at Lover's Key. Is the value gone up or down?
It's staying steady, so we haven't lost any value, and it is renting.
It's going to go down. The crash is happening. I mean, how much did you pay for it? $470?
No,
$740? $600,000.
And they're selling right now for about $595, so it's not bad.
300 square feet.
No, they're more than that. 780.
How much is that a square foot?
I don't know. You get my calculator
A
out.
lot. Have you rented it out yet?
A lot.
How much do you rent it out for per week?
Off season, like right now in September, it's as low as $100 a week.
Wow!
But you get toward December,
$100 a week?
A day. I'm
sorry,
a day.
Sorry. Yeah.
And then if you get toward December and January, February, then it's $200 to $300 a day.
Thank you, Janice. I appreciate you saying that because there's two reasons why I should mention it. The Songwriter Festival is going on. The Island Hopper. I feel like we're not involved in it as much as we have been. Like last year, we had Dan from BMI on, and we interviewed him, and then we were down at the at Nervous Nellies, and we did a show there. But what you guys need to know is tomorrow I'm going to be doing an interview again. I feel it's a solo. It's been like a 3 solo show weekend. Tomorrow I'm going to be at the Pink Shell at 4:00 for a special show. I have an exclusive interview with Gary Vox. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Vox.
Or is it DeVoe?
V-O-X.
Is it D-E-V-O? I got to get this right before the interview.
D-E-V-O-X.
Is it DeVoe or Vox? Is it DeVox or DeVoe?
DeVox, I believe.
Anyway, he's the lead singer of Rascal Flatts. He's got a solo career now. So I have an exclusive interview at the Pink Shell with him at 4:00. So no day drinking tomorrow. I got to be on my best behavior. Usually we go to the Ale House at 1:00 to watch the Giants or the Jets play. And it's been an amazing season so far. The Giants are 2-0. The Jets are 1-1, but no, the Giants play the Cowboys Monday night, and so 4:00 will be a live show from the Pink Shell, and I'll be interviewing a superstar. So, anyway, speaking of superstars, Steve, what did you think of the debate on Wednesday night? It was a chamber-sponsored debate. Oh, I wanted to replay the. Oh, I can't. It's not plugged in. At the beginning of the show, I played the cut where this crazy question got in about, I'm going to play it again for everybody. If you didn't hear the beginning of the show, here is what took place Wednesday night.
Next question. Do you believe that the Beach Talk Radio listeners are dredges? Are they? No.
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 Yes or no? Can't
Is
say
that the
some,
drag
huh?
question?
No.
We were there. So my wife and I were there. Cindy and I were there. And when he read the question, Kim looked like she was launched out of a missile silo. She came out of her chair and left the building.
She did. She left the building.
She went home.
She went home, and even by the time I got home, she was so mortified by that question, and she was angry with me because she thought I asked the question. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I want everybody to know I didn't ask any questions. I didn't send any questions in. That's not my place. This is my place. I don't pretend that this goes outside anywhere than this circle right here. When Jackie asked us to broadcast the event, that's what we do. We broadcast the event. I don't get in anybody's grill. I don't try and do any gotchas with anybody. I don't ask anybody questions that are over the line at somebody else's event. It's unprofessional, and I don't do it. I'm totally fine with being unprofessional sitting right here because people can just turn it off. People don't have to listen. They don't have to pay attention. It's the same way with our Facebook page. People don't have to pay attention to it. They could just not look at it, and I would go away. But I'm not going to do that at somebody else's event. And so the minute that question came out, I thought I was hiding under the table because it's not an appropriate question. Nobody gives a crap about that, and they shouldn't. It has nothing to do with any of them running for town council. So, but it was fun listening to the answers. I'm not going to lie about it. It gave me some tape.
I think a lot of the questions were geared toward Ray, and I'm sure he felt that, largely because that was the first debate he's been to.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well-
the people have had a chance to ask Karen and the others questions
Yeah.
already, and that was Ray's first, you know.
Before we get into the let's rate how everybody did, let's be honest, it's easy to criticize the incumbent. While it's easier for the incumbent to win because the incumbent has had X number of years in a position, it's easy to criticize an incumbent because you don't really know what's going on in that building. You're not really in charge of anything. You're just trying to get a job that you don't really know what's going on. You probably know some, but I think like Karen knows more because she's been involved in the government and she's been on these committees, so she knows more, and she comes across a little more polished because she's involved in things like that. So just to be fair, it's always when there's only one incumbent up there too, it can almost seem like it's somebody being ganged up on. Now, having said that, there were some things that were said by the incumbent that were not true. And I did want to talk about those in a minute, but let's start with Patrick first. What was your grade on Patrick? How did he do?
Patrick did okay. I don't know that he did great, but I don't know that he gathered any votes.
Okay. So my opinion on Patrick was, as each forum and debate has gone on, he's gotten better. He certainly has gotten a lot better from the first time he came on this show, where it was just an anger fest, and he smoothed things out. Yeah. And but I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he has a chance to win. I think he's probably going to be totally disappointed in the number of votes he gets, and he's starting to. He's now, and he's flip-flopped on the Dune walkover, which was really annoying because now he's just found a lane where he's trying to pick votes off because he can, because nobody else is in favor of rejecting the Dune walkover. All three of the other candidates are in favor of approving the Dune walkover. And so he's now found a lane. Somebody got to him and he's flipped. And so as a voter, I would worry about that. It just takes a little bit to flip somebody. Do they really have conviction on things? And the other thing we know that is he doesn't have time. He can argue he has time, but he doesn't have time because he's a school teacher and he's still a full-time employed school teacher.
In line with that, you don't really see him out around town, up and down the boulevard.
No, he's not campaigning. He's admitted he's not campaigning because he's working.
And to be elected, you have to be out there and you have to meet people, and you have to be up and down the boulevard and in the neighborhoods, and he's not done any of that.
Yeah. And so let's now move on to Karen, because that is going to be an easy one to diagnose. Obviously, she was smooth. She did great, and I think that Karen's going to probably get more votes than anybody. But that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. What do I know? She
was very, very smooth, but yet very definitive in her answers. She didn't hesitate, even when her answer could have ruffled feathers. She's not afraid to speak her mind. She was out there right out front with what she believes in, and judging by the crowd reaction to her responses and whatnot, the crowd clearly liked Karen. So you got to think she, at this point, maybe even the vote leader. I think she's going to get more votes than any of the other candidates. I thought that she took an unfair shot from Ray, and she didn't. I think she could have defended herself better. And specifically what I meant was, when the Bay Oaks thing came up, Ray took an opportunity to take a shot at her because she's on the Bay Oaks committee. And he said, well, we got this big grand idea where we need to spend this money from the Bay Oaks committee, which you're on. And I wish I was waiting for the comeback to be, well, Ray, your town manager who you support told us to think big, and we thought big. And that's why you got a big project with a big price tag. Yeah, they got what they asked for.
Right. And so that was something I was hoping that we'd hear, and that's the truth. I mean, even Roger went in there and said, think big. And this is a scaled down project from they were thinking bigger than this. And so he got away with that one there.
I think the other one that he did was, he said in something to the effect of, we do have a plan, and actually gestured or pointed toward her.
I don't remember that, but I wasn't. That might have been at the time I was hiding under the table from the dregs question. So I thought Karen did great. I think that she just needs to coast and keep doing what she's doing. The thing with Karen too is, and John, but more so with Karen, is she's everywhere. She's everywhere. Signage is everywhere, and you're going to see that she's going to be even more everywhere in the next few weeks. And to me, the race is between John and Ray. I mean, are there enough people on the South End that want to give John a shot? Or are there enough people that are on the South End that are going to say, I'm not ready for that much change. Ray's my friend. Ray's been around forever. So we want to keep somebody on the council that we know. We know the devil that we know. And so I think that, like I said, I could be totally wrong. Patrick could win by a landslide, but that's just from watching what I see.
When this first started and the candidates, put their names out there, you had to know, or you had to believe that John had, at that point, there was a large gap between where him and Ray were. You're significantly below Ray's chances of being elected. And over time,
John's chances.
John can't. Yeah. So over time, though, I think John's done what he needed to do.
He's definitely working it.
He's going to meetings. He's meeting with prominent politicians. He met with the sheriff. He goes to the committee meetings. He's become much more familiar with the issues. And that was his challenge. And I think he's done that. So over the last 3-4 weeks, I think John has narrowed that gap to think that he's where Ray is or wherever. I don't think so, but he's certainly a lot closer today than he was when he put his name in there.
No, I think
people are becoming comfortable with who he is and what he stands for.
No, I think he's putting the work in, and he's out there huffing it around on his bicycle, and he's meeting with people. And Ray's not campaigning at all. He's not doing anything that I see. I haven't seen any. Have you seen any campaigning, any Facebook stuff, or
no
anything, or you don't see him on a bike or anything? You don't see him.
No.
He was at the Whale when they had their little private party. But I mean, I don't see it. But of course, I don't hang out in those circles. So maybe he's campaigning and I just know about it. But there are a couple of things that I wanted to kind of go back to during the debate that I thought he got away with. And the first thing that I thought he got away with was when he stood up at the end and he said, I did that and I did that and I did that. There's one thing that he started with, and that was the lawsuit, the Margaritaville lawsuit that he said he negotiated. And that's why, I'm paraphrasing, you can go back and watch it, but you'll see what I'm talking about. It's at the end when they're doing the final speeches, when he says it was because of him that Margaritaville is being built for the most part because he negotiated the lawsuit. What he neglected to say was that there was a murder that took place on the island that led to this whole thing coming to an end. And there was also a groundswell of community people that were trying to move in a different direction. And it wasn't, I did this and it resulted in that. And that's the point that he tried to get across. I did it. I did this negotiation, and that's why it's being built. That was a total crock.
He certainly had a part in it, I think.
No, I think what happened was a call was made, and he was in the right place at the right time. Anybody in that building would have taken the call.
Let's just say this. If he had anything to do with talking the Conadaris into dropping a lawsuit, I appreciated it. I ran into him on the street. My wife and I were out riding bikes. I even made mention to him and said, hey, Ray, I don't know, number one, if you had anything to do with it, but if you did, I thank you for it. Getting past a lawsuit's a big deal. But yeah, it was a matter of timing. You had the murder at the land.
We're moving on.
You had the murder down the boulevard here, and there was a negative groundswell of people pissed off about the murder.
Abatement board created.
Yeah, and there was a whole bunch of noise out there about what was going on, and I think the mood was, let's play nice and make peace and move forward.
And everybody has been, and everything has been smooth sailing since then, and everything
much better.
Everybody's getting along great. Everybody's being good neighbors, and so. I just wanted to make that point about there was no one-on-one negotiation.
Well, certainly wasn't all him. No, it certainly I don't think was certainly all Ray. But again, I don't know. I have no idea.
So the second thing that I wanted to bring up was the first question out of the gate was killer because it was about the beach closing. And the beach closing is the issue that got this whole personal fight between us started, because my information from Lee County was that Lee County told the town, we're not closing the beach. We're keeping the beach open. Now, the county only owns a small portion of the beach. They own Lynn Hole Park and the sand that goes out to the ocean from Lynn Hole Park. So what they did was they told Roger and Ray that this is the information I have, that they were not closing the beach.
I think it was that they were going to reopen the beach.
Right. Because it was closed because the spring breakers was closed for a short period of time. So they knew that we were transitioning to an open beach.
On a specific date.
Right, on a specific date. So what happened was that information was withheld from the rest of the council. The council didn't know that the county, otherwise it wouldn't have been a unanimous vote to keep the beach closed. And so what happened was the beach stayed closed. Everybody got shoved into a small area, but the base people were out there with friggin' cones and their
vehicles
little golf carts, and they were pushing people to the Lee County property, making the COVID situation worse. And so he didn't really answer the question. He didn't own up to the mistake at the beginning. He could have owned up to the mistake because it was him and Roger that did it. They did it to these people on the beach. And I knew it back then, years ago, and that was the truth. That's still the truth today. You talk to people at the county. I talk to people at the county, and they told Fort Myers the last thing the county people wanted was to cause a COVID pileup of bodies, and that's exactly what happened. So that's the truth of what happened. And that first question wasn't answered the right way.
No, and I mean, to give the other side of it, Ray says he didn't know. But the cold, hard facts are that Lee County's beach is open and for, what is it, a 3-day lag time?
It was at least 3 days.
At least 3 days. And looking back on it, and Ray alluded to this at the debate, that, looking back on it and being able to reflect and review on what were the best way to do things, the best thing to do would have been to say, when Lee County opens their beaches, we're going to open ours. We'll mirror what they're doing. That would have been the right thing to do, and the smartest thing to do. And it didn't happen. It was a 3-day delay. And it pissed me off. It pissed a lot of people off. To close the beaches down to begin with, I didn't like, and then to leave them closed really pissed some people off. And here we are years later, and I think it's still in people's minds that was bullshit.
And I think a big part of it was because you hear and listen to those council members talk about, we're going to follow the science. We're going to follow the science. That phrase is going to go down in history with Fauci's dumbassness for all time. But you just heard them saying, when they were pushing the masks on people and the whole thing, but you heard them saying, we're going to follow the science. We're going to follow the science. There's no science that says that you should have a wide open space outside closed so that nobody could be outside enjoying the fresh air. There was no science then. There's no science to that now. It was just a power grab to close the beach. And that's all it was. Show you're in charge. Show that you can force your government rule on people. And it backfired in the worst possible way. And I hope it backfires in November and there's more change in November. It's time to move on from the 90s.
I've said this on this show before, and I'll say it again. My wife and I would take our little boat and circle the island. And as we went past the front of the island to go 7.5 miles and not see a single person on the beach was sickening.
Yeah,
that's where they should have been.
Outside,
outdoors, and in open air where the breeze is blowing, and to see nobody out there, to me, it was horrible.
What else did you want to conclude from the debate before we move on to our last topic? And we're running over. Kim would be killing me right now.
No,
the dog's probably peed all over the house.
I have nothing else
on the debate.
I thought the debate went well. And
nice
I
big
think
crowd.
People learned. It was a very nice crowd, and I think the crowd. I mean, I gathered a lot from the reactions of the crowd while you were supposed to sit there and not clap and not do anything. I think if you read the room, and kind of judged what was going on, there were three topics that got the most reaction in all of that negative reaction. And that was any discussion that had to do with taxes, fees, or the town manager. And anytime, and at any
the town
time the
manager
town,
took a whooping.
and anytime the town manager's name came up, and sometimes at times Ray would defend him, that got the most negative reaction. I mean, it is clear to me and everybody in that room that now Ray's insistence on defending Roger is an anchor that's dragging him down. That's what I think.
When November rolls around and the change is made, my guess is the town attorney is going to be the first one to go. These people that are getting ready to roll in there and make changes have somebody in mind, and it's the perfect town manager. The town attorney. Did I say town manager before?
Manager.
The town attorney. The town attorney is probably going to be the first one to go. And I have no inside information. This is just from listening to people that whisper in your ear. And they have the perfect town attorney ready, because now this Siamese Twins Act that you have at town hall is going to be broken up, and you're going to have somebody in there that's actually a resident of the town of Fort Myers Beach that has the best interests of the town. The guy just got a new contract, and he's not even at the last meeting. He sends in the second hitter, and he's not even there. He just got his contract re-signed. It's the second budget hearing, and he doesn't even show up. I'm sure there's a valid excuse, but the person that they're talking about putting in that position will probably show up to all the meetings, I'm guessing, unless there's a major problem. But so that'll be fun to watch, to finally see that there's some oversight on the town manager when they have a new town attorney in there that everybody knows and everybody gets along with, and that lives in the community, which was Rexanne's biggest problem with Heron from the beginning, and the reason that Dan voted against him. But the thing about the budget that nobody brought up and nobody talked about, they were so stuck on the projects, this town project, the Times Square project, the Bay Oaks project. But what they never went back to look at was the salaries and the different things that, because Roger kept saying, well, if you're going to approve that millage rate, you have to cut $65,000. Or if Jim Adderholt votes no, you have to cut another X number of thousand. Yeah. And the thing that bugged me was they just gave these contractors a raise. All the contractors got a raise. Daphne got a raise from like $45 to $65 an hour, which is effing absurd.
Okay. In my career, I had a 45-year career in one company, and was at the top of my department when I left that company. In any 1 year, I never got a raise that exceeded 5% ever, and usually it was 2 or 3%. So to give somebody a raise of 30 to 40%, is that right?
I don't understand why they kept looking at. Even if they're looking at the Bay Oaks fixtures and furniture, which is what Dan was arguing over, to try and at least hold a line on some sort of increase to make it less than what it was, they never talked about the salaries of people.
It's never talked about. So town staffing, town hall staffing, their wages and compensation, and the expenses related to their transportation, carts, vehicles. How many vehicles the town has, how many do they need? In any government-run operation that we've ever known, you cannot tell me that every associate there is performing at the top of their capabilities or potential. So can you cut here? Can you shift people around? I don't see many people breaking. I see a lot of people riding around on carts up and down Estero Boulevard in the beach. But can you be more efficient and make people do more for the money they're getting, and cut expenses there? For each associate you cut or employee you cut, that's a big chunk of money in benefits and salary. But you're right, that never even comes up. So my direct question is, and maybe they do, does the town council, Ray or his council members, do they actively review what Roger is doing with his department and hold him accountable? And perhaps they do. We wouldn't know. But if they do a piss poor job at letting us know that.
Well, yeah. Well, hopefully the next town manager will be more out in the public and communicating and letting I think that you cushion the blow of whatever's going on a lot more when there's more communication. I'm not saying his blow needs to be cushioned, because it doesn't. But the fire chief is out there talking to everybody all the time. He's explaining everything. It's so transparent. It's almost like it's overly transparent, because every single thing that's going on there. And it just seems like you're pulling teeth. to try and get it out of town hall. Now, that's not Roger's specialty, but send somebody else out there then. Send somebody else out there to be the spokesperson about all that. And, there's inflation going on, and this is getting raised and that's getting raised. And then when COVID came, we all got pay cuts at our regular jobs. Why are people getting government employees? This was supposed to be government light. Fort Myers Beach was created government light. When you start stacking more employees and more vehicles, and you buy a piece of property for $1 million so that you can park your trucks on it behind town hall, how is that government light?
Each one of us, we could nitpick as much as we want on expenditures and make statements to say it's ridiculous. But I mean, the town council, and Dan had an issue at the last meeting where he spent more than a half an hour trying to fight against the millage increase. And they're talking about $112,000 here, $170,000 there. Well, it would be nice to have that money back for the parking app that I'm not sure anybody is ever going to use, or charge stations for electric cars. I mean, that was, I don't know what the combined expenditure was for those two things alone, but it'd be nice to have that money right now.
Has anybody seen the electric car places being used? Have they been charging cars? I don't know. It's probably too slow a time of year to be able to judge that.
You can't judge it now, but yeah.
Or less base employees writing less tickets. From what I understand, too, the permitting departments lost a few employees, so the permits are starting to get backed up for different things. But anyway, enough about
worse than usual.
Yeah,
and it always was. It was always
so. The last thing was, I mean, Dan gave a valiant effort to try and hold the line, but he got bullied by Rexanne and Ray and Bill on the whole budget negotiation. They threatened to pull the community policing from him if he didn't vote for the tax increase. So he finally, I mean, that went on for about an hour. I was working my day job in Miami, trying to listen to, which was wrong, trying to listen to the meeting. And it was brutal at times. But that all come to an end in November, because the mayor will no longer be the mayor. Dan will most likely be the mayor, and things will be different. So we'll see how that goes. Anything else you want to say before we go?
Nope. I'm done.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. But before we go, we need to tell you, or I need to tell you, this is usually Kim's job, that Fort Myers Tiki Tours is where you want to go to hang out on the water. You've seen those cool little tiki tours out in the water, bobbing around. You're allowed to bring your own alcohol on there because they have a cooler for you. They have Bluetooth. They have like Coast Guard approved captains. And you get to see super duper cool sunlights, what do you call them? Sunsets, not sunlights. They're called sunsets, Steve. What the hell's wrong with you? They dock over at Salty Sam's Marina at 2500 Main Street. Then you go out for a while. You take pictures. You look at dolphins. You look at manatees if they're around. And, you can look at, whatever you want to look at.
One of the coolest things, I think, is you get to go right past the shrimp fleet. So you see all the shrimp boats lined up there at the shrimp docks. It's pretty cool.
And the number to call is 239-887-0042, 239-887-0042, FortMyersTikiTours.com. Thank you to all our sponsors. Thank you to our great guests. Thank you to Steve for sitting in for Kim. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I love when people walk by, walking their dogs with Beach Talk Radio shirts on. That's pretty cool.
It's perfect.
I was doing the video this morning by Margaritaville, and somebody had a Beach Talk Radio hat on. This little project might go somewhere, Steve-O. What do you think?
Yeah, we were in Montana and up at Glacier National Park, and we saw
somebody with a hat on.
2 or 3 people with shirts and hats on.
You're an asshole. Tomorrow, 4 o'clock, live from the Pink Shell for our interview with Gary. I'll get his name right tomorrow. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.